In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade.
That's what we were told. Most Americans never believed Lee Oswald was the lone gunman, for excellent reasons. In fact, there were at least 6 shooters who fired from 8 to 10 shots or more who are identified here. We have, finally, the solution to the greatest murder mystery in history, laid out for the world to see, proof after proof after proof. Photos were faked, the body was changed, x-rays were altered, the home movies were fixed. 15 experts contribute to a 529-page book with 1,037 photos and diagrams in black and white and color.
Hi, this is Gary King. If you'd like JFK, who, how, and why, and would like to support the new JFK show, then go to patriotradiobooks.com. That's patriotradiobooks.com.
Welcome to the new JFK Show number 174, and I really like it. Our machine seems to definitely run a lot cleaner when we have a full crew. We've got Don Fox, Larry Rivera, Jim Fetzer, and myself, and we've got several things. JFK's in the news quite a bit. It's been the Enquirer on 2 separate occasions. We've got a PowerPoint and also some Costello Z film. So, Dr. Fetzer, go ahead and lead off for us tonight.
Well, actually, I mean, here we have a story in the Enquirer. According to this article, Lee Harvey Oswald was a trained CIA operative, and his American spy masters covered it up after he assassinated President John F. Kennedy. I'm going to barf. I mean, look, Larry has just done a brilliant demonstration that this was Roscoe White playing the body double role for Lee Oswald there. That's Roscoe's chin. You can't see it here, but there's a little bump on the right arm. There's no doubt about it. It's Roscoe White. Larry.
Yeah, that's I'm sorry, that's the newest that we've been able to do on the overlays, and it's definitely Roscoe White. I don't know what the level of understanding of the case is, with this article, but it seems to me like it's something like JFK for Dummies.
Complete morons, I would say, because, I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Go ahead now. Go ahead, Gary.
The CIA.
Don, want to add to that?
It's pretty much of a joke. I think you guys pretty well smoked that out. I mean, Lee Oswald didn't shoot nobody. I mean, he didn't do nothing. The kids say.
Eloquently put.
Standing in the front of the doorway at the time.
Just as he said. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I did want to mention real quick about the entire trial, the mock trial, and the last word about it is that Don put it exactly right. You didn't have to bring in all this crazy evidence and medical and all that. If Lee was standing in front of the doorway, then that was it. See, we weren't having to prove conspiracy or who did it or anything.
Right.
It was if is Lee guilty or not, and that he was all that was necessary to prove. So I just wanted to bring that up. All right,
that was to fill up the time, Gary, and make it look like they were serious when they weren't. They were out to suppress the truth, so they filled it up with a lot of conspiracy stuff that had nothing to do with the issue of whether Lee was in the doorway, and then took out the key witness who would have demonstrated it effortlessly.
Yeah, we got a bum steer from some Jew lawyers, Who'd have thunk it?
Don't ring the bell.
You have a way with words, Don.
Don't ring the bell or do ring the bell?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Ring the bell, sure. Go ahead, Gary.
All right.
Let's see how bad this is. It looks pretty bad.
All right, so let's go on to number 2 of 17.
Just a famous photograph. If you go further up in the right-hand corner, you find The father of Ted Cruz, Rafael Cruz, standing with Antonio Veciana, the founder of Alpha 66, right in this very photograph, which I happen to put on the cover of Assassination Science, the first of my books on JFK.
This is known as the Cisco photograph. Cisco. SISCO.
All right, so what do we make of the thing here? It says, I have reviewed hundreds of thousands of JFK assassination documents over my 50-year career as a forensic expert, and it's my firm opinion the McCone-Rowley memo is authentic. Jaffe, author of upcoming JFK assassination book, Chain of Evidence.
Well, but obviously it says that Lee Oswald was a CIA-trained assassin who killed JFK, so you can tell the value of what he's doing here.
Well, actually, I believe that's the memo that says that Lee was a trained CIA operative, and which has been attacked by a lot of other quote unquote JFK researchers having no validity, and that it has been fabricated. I don't know. I don't think we're talking about the memo, Jim.
No, I think he is, because this is a guy promoting a phony theory, Larry. So he's a fake.
No, but the memo that he's talking about is a memo that has nothing to do with Lee being other than a CIA operative. I'll send it to you in a second if you want, because we might want to discuss that memo, Jim. Maybe if Gary has a minute, I have it on file. I
sure, pull it up and we'll go back to it. But he's constructing a phony theory out of a memo that makes one point and then drawing a false inference from the memo to Lee having been the assassin.
Well, okay. Well, maybe I'm thinking about something else, but I'm going to pull that up in a second. Okay.
Pull it up.
Okay.
Okay.
We know Lee was an FBI informant,
no.
And we know the CIA purged his 201 file. But
oh yeah.
but who with the brain actually thinks Lee was a trained assassin?
Right. Right. He was a terrible shot. I mean, this would be a pretty poor choice for a trained assassin, a guy who can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah, you can work for the FBI and the CIA and not be a super marksman. All right, what's the highest level that there is?
Expert.
No.
Expert?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
The long suspected yet never proven revelation has finally been verified through a bombshell smoking gun memo obtained by the National Enquirer. The memo was written by then CIA Director John McCone to James R. Rowley, then head of the Secret Service. McCone, of course, was brought in after the assassination to be a filler because he didn't know anything about what was going on. So he would be an easy guy to fool.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Could that be another coincidence?
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, right, pull down the text. Dated March 3rd, 64, it bears the subject heading Central Intelligence Report on the Assassination of John Kennedy. In it, McCone noted he's writing to Rowley regarding Lee Oswald's activities and assignments on behalf of this agency and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Trained spy.
Oswald's subject was trained by this agency under cover of naval intelligence for Soviet assignments. During preliminary training in 1957, subject was active in aerial reconnaissance of mainland China and maintained a security clearance up to the confidential level. That's a very low level. And in 1957, he underwent recruit training as well. So there's something very odd here.
Well, Lee was a radar operator in Japan. So
yeah, that was at Atsugi.
Yeah, so undoubtedly he must have been some level of intelligence to be there, but that doesn't mean he was a high-level operative.
Yeah.
And notice here they got that mugshot where he's in his T-shirt, so you won't think about the overshirt and how much he resembles Doorman.
Yeah, and he's clasping his hands like he always does.
I have the memo up on my screen. You guys want me to do a screen share here?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Perfect time.
Okay. Gary, am I allowed?
Yeah, hit the screen share. You ready to go?
This is a memo that's been circulating around the internet, and it's very intriguing because it talks about Lee. If you look at the yellow highlight there, Oswald's subject was trained. Go ahead, Jim. I mean, because this one that has been really dissected by a lot of people to see about the authenticity of this memo, but it's quite revealing. I believe it's from McCone, at the top to Rowley, and I think this is the memo that Jim was talking about. I don't know if
no, it's the same paragraph that I was just reading.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
You want me to read that paragraph or the whole thing?
Yeah. Well, whatever. But I believe this is the memo that we were talking about.
It is the memo, Larry. Oswald's subject was trained by this agency undercover of the Office of Naval Intelligence for Soviet assignments. During preliminary training in 1957, subject was active in aerial reconnaissance of mainland China and obtained a security clearance up to the confidential level. His military record during this period are open to your records during this open to your agency. I've directed they be forwarded to the commission.
Well, what does this all mean? I mean, if this is not, a bona fide confirmation of Lee Oswald's CIA connections, I don't know what.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
But of course, then he wanted to go on to say, you see, it was because he was connected to the CIA that they concealed the connection when he went as a rogue agent to assassinate JFK, right?
But again, a lot of people have attacked this memo as far as its authenticity. So, I just want to, float that up, for you guys, to discuss more.
But no doubt, Lee was a defector to Russia, or the former Soviet Union, and he came back. So obviously he had some connections.
Oh yeah, and Angleton, obviously the Justice Angleton was his handler. From he's the one that manipulated him. From day one, and that's pretty obvious. Okay.
McCone's memo was provided to the Inquirer by Stephen Jaffe, who worked with New Orleans District Attorney Jim Garrison, left on the only investigation that led to charges in Kennedy's November 22nd, 1963 murder in Dallas. But notice, he could have been a plant. The fact that you work with Jim Garrison is supposed to think he's a good guy. But remember, Garrison's staff was infiltrated.
Yeah, but don't forget that Jaffe is the guy that did the backyard photo analysis.
And the Garrison tapes.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And he is 100% on the level, Jim. I don't know.
Good.
I don't know how his name might have gotten in there, in negative connotation.
Yeah, Larry said last week that if all they needed in the trial was to use Stephen Jaffe's work, and they could have got him off with just that.
That's right. Exactly.
Very good, Larry. Excellent.
Exactly. What I was doing was confirming, his hypothesis, and not even hypothesis, because that was, laid out, in a very convincing way, in the Garrison tapes.
Look what we got here. The tone of secrecy is typical of how agency directors work to suppress the truth about Kennedy's assassination, he observed. The way Oswald is referred to also rings true. The fact that they call him Oswald's subject, that's agency speak. And here he is handing out the fair play for Cuba with Rafael Cruz and John C. Marvin Holtz in the vicinity and Michael Payne. Quite a few players are here.
Judy Baker was around there.
I was going to say, how many snipers are handing out leaflets?
Or going to Mexico City, Don, because now as we continue to scrutinize the new documents coming out, with Mexico City being, let me tell you, it's being more and more the case where the Mexico City scenario starts to smell.
The Mexico City scenario is what, Larry?
It's
falling apart.
Falling apart, yeah.
I never bought that crap for a minute.
Starting to smell very fishy.
Remember, my differences with Judith over this were documented right here on the show.
I know. And
that's the one major disagreement that I think that y'all have.
Yeah, well, and the Sylvia Duran wrote a statement in Spanish, which I'm still translating, and in that statement she refers to Lee Oswald as being only 5'6", as being completely disheveled, completely
So that's not Lee Oswald she's describing.
I know. If you go and look at Lee Oswald's photographs, from all of his passports, and every photograph that official photograph, he never looks, not a single hair out of place, Jim. And the way that Silvia Duran describes him, in this Spanish statement that she did, it's about 20 pages long, and she did it for the HSCA. And I'm still,
So who the hell was it that was playing Lee Oswald to Sylvia Duran?
Exactly. So this opens up, and plus with the new the new documents that talk about a cutout, and I'm not talking about a cutout in the sense of a spook. Okay, a cutout in this sense is that they were going to send her to the U.S. For perhaps interview, with maybe Life magazine. And then from there, they would spirit her over to Washington, to testify before the Warren Commission. And I'm glad you have the Warren Commission people there on the screen, Gary, because they did not want to bring her to actually, testify before the Warren Commission. Not just her, but the new documents are starting to bear out a lot of really good information. For example, about that Albert Osborne. AKA Bowen, who was supposed to be on Lee Oswald's bus or something like that, or he was next in line for the visa to go to Mexico City, and all this being, a fabrication, in the sense where, the people in Mexico could not confirm, what the embassy, what the Warren Commission was trying to bring out about Lee Oswald being in Mexico City. And we're going to have a lot of new information, on the documents.
Good.
Yeah, that's a bit of a creepy picture there with Lyndon Johnson in the background. And then you've got Alan Dulles. The two creepiest of them all is Gerald Ford and Alan Dulles to me.
Well, there were a couple of guys there who wanted the truth to come out, like Boggs, and the guy
second from the left.
Yeah, and the guy from Georgia, I forget his name right now, but
Richard Russell.
Right, Richard Russell, who maintained a relationship with Harold Weisberg over the years, where privately he wanted Weisberg to continue the investigation, because apparently from within the government it was never going to happen, and they I have documents that show that they had a very, very close relationship, Jim.
That's very good, Larry. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Hey Larry, is your dog's tail hitting the mic?
Yeah. No, he's hitting the dog. Go ahead.
I could tell your dog was wagging his tail.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah,
all right.
Go ahead, Gary.
All right, we're on the next one. I don't think we read this one yet.
The memo has emerged as the National Archives prepares to release thousands of pages of previously classified documents pertaining to the Warren Commission's assassination investigation. But the McCone-Rowley memo will likely not be part of that document dump for the very reason Gary pointed out, namely it shows he had a formal link to the CIA.
Formal training.
Right. And that's because McCone, shown here with JFK, and his CIA predecessor, Alan Dulles, feared the incriminating information would be leaked. I recommend that unless the Warren Commission makes a specific request for specific information contained herein, that this information not be volunteered, he wrote.
Yeah, that's on that memo.
This agency has reason to assume that some junior commission staff members may be potential sources of leaks to the news media or to other agencies. Due to the highly sensitive nature of the enclosed material, it would certainly be in the national interest to withhold it at this time.
Hey, I think that's the fox guarding the chicken coop here.
Does sound like it, doesn't it?
So what's the word?
Go ahead.
If you could give us a little quick background of you, Larry, what's the deal on McCone? I mean, what's the big story on him?
Well, he was head of the CIA when the assassination happened, So,
wow. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Look, LBJ in the face. That's telling right there.
appointed by the Kennedys,
McCone shown here briefing President Lyndon B. Johnson said he feared leaking the information would lead the media to erroneously claim this agency and perhaps others were directly involved in the Dallas action. Shockingly, the memo spelled out Oswald's training by the CIA in detail.
Wait, backtrack, right? And LBJ didn't have anything to do with it, Jim?
Right, that's right. Not according to McCone. And their resources are unparalleled. Oswald enlisted in the Marines on October 24th, 1956, and was posted at Naval Air Facility at Sugi near Tokyo, where the CIA also had a super secret facility. Subject received additional indoctrination at her own Camp Perry site, McCone wrote, referring to a Virginia military base. But of course, he had to go through 11 weeks of recruit training in San Diego. So October, November, you're already to the middle of December, and before he receives this additional training at Camp Perry.
What you think about all this, Don?
Don, and don't forget that Roscoe White was actually shadowing him throughout, all of these moves here while he was in the Marines.
Is Don still with us?
I don't think so.
He added that Oswald participated in a few relatively minor assignments until arrangements were made for his entry into the Soviet Union in September of 1959. Historians have long asserted that Oswald, who met and married Muscovite Marina Purikoff-Wright in 1961, defected to the USSR, although McCone's letter proves it was all part of a CIA plot. So, Larry, they got a problem with this memo because if you assume it's authentic, then, of course, he was trained by the agency, and it blows apart the idea that he was just a disgruntled Marine.
And also, what they're talking here about Marina Prusakova, I've always had my ideas about her involvement in all of this because, it's never been explained, how she can, at first accuse her husband, of killing Kennedy and of owning a rifle, and all this incriminating evidence. And then 25 years later, she does a 180, and now she's trying to, do the obvious, which is the right thing, obviously. But, the whole thing with Marina, and her babysitter, the FBI agent, Porter, and all this thing, it's just, it's a whole other can of worms, that we don't want to open now, or maybe some other day. But I really feel that Marina has never come clean as far as her role in all of this, Jim. And it just hopefully, now, with all the new evidence that's come out, and with the new technology, with Lee in the doorway, and Roscoe White being the man, in the backyard photos, maybe, they're ready, for, to really come clean, but, I've never been satisfied with her role in all this, really.
Yeah. She's always, she's come a long way, but you're right. She does seem to know.
So I'll call out to Don again. Don, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah. He must have dropped out on us.
His wife must have caught up with him.
Yeah. Call him Henpeck Don.
Okay, let's see. Open up the... While in the Soviet Union, he was on special assignment in the area of Minsk. It would not be advantageous at this time to divulge the specifics of that assignment, he wrote. That's when Oswald may have been flipped by Soviet spies, according to McCone. What? Rubbish.
Of course. Absolutely. He was sent there on a mission from day one by Justice Angleton, okay, and the evidence is clear that at that time, the U.S. was sending not just Lee Oswald, but other agents or quote-unquote agents into the Soviet Union to, come back and report on what, specifics regarding intelligence, was concerned. So, and then it was in the late 50s, that was a project that was ongoing, and Lee was part of it. You know, what do you think there, Jim?
Yeah. Well, what do you think the project would have been in Minsk?
Well, who knows? But you know, it always comes back to technology, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's what's being hinted at here. Speculation is that Oswald's subject became unstable following surgery April 1st. Notice that's April Fool's Day, 1961, in the Minsk hospital, McCone wrote. He may have been chemically or electronically controlled as sleeper agent, which is all complete and utter nonsense. Sure. And there's Rafael Cruz right there. Rafael Cruz right beside Lee.
That's right, in front of the trademark.
After the procedure, McCone informed Rowley that the CIA found Oswald had grown unreliable and emotionally unstable and his agency work was wound down. McCone also hinted the government conspiracy to cover up Oswald's tie to U.S. intelligence extended FBI head J. Edgar Hoover. Surprise, surprise.
What more incriminating than this, you know, CE 133A on the splash on the front cover of Life magazine.
That's it. With communist newspapers. Last one.
It is my understanding, he wrote, Mr. Hoover has certain sensitive information within his agency which has been transferred to his own personal files for safekeeping. He concurs that no material should be voluntarily given to the commission which might affect the status of field operatives or their safety.
Well, I think that's an understatement if I've ever heard one, because you know, the CIA would not provide any documents, any investigative body, you know, that was like a plan, you know, it's just, you know, and that's pretty obvious, you know. Little by little, you know, documents have been pried away from the CIA and the FBI, and they've been highly redacted.
Gary, do you need to take a little break here for the show? You know,
this one only has 3 pictures in it, so we've got just a minute or two before the break.
Okay. View gallery, Gary. You got to flip the view gallery. This cop killed Kennedy.
Roscoe.
Yeah, it's a photo of Roscoe, all right.
Well, you know, now, you know, this really takes on a different turn, like I said, you know, because now Roscoe becomes an integral part of this whole deal here, Jim, you know, with Ricky Don White, you know, the story that he came out with in the late 70s, early 80s, you know, now takes on a renewed significance as far as I'm concerned, you know, and all those things about the cables, you know, Mandarin and everything, you know, we got to really start looking at, you know, at what Ricky White had to say, you know, and maybe, you know, he was under a lot of harassment from the FBI, and you know, with reason, you know, because when he started to come out with this story, they really attacked him, you know, personally, and when it's, you know, like you say, you know, if you're getting a lot of flack, it's because you're right over the target, you know.
Yeah.
Right under the target, something like that. So, you know, and that's exactly what's going on here, you know, with Ricky White, you know. So
yes, his son,
you know,
yes.
With the overlays, you know, we have to just stop and rethink this whole thing, Jim, because now we have tangible evidence that shows beyond any reasonable doubt that Roscoe White was very much involved in framing Lee Oswald.
And apparently taking out a whole lot of the witnesses, too, maybe as many as 50.
That's right. Where he found himself trapped, you know, in a sense where, you know, some of his writings are, you know, have revealed that, you know, hey, you know, I want to get out of here. I want to get out of this situation. And I'm not being allowed to because, you know, I'm in too deep.
Yeah.
Well, if the last issue of the Inquiry said Lee did it, but because he was working for the CIA, they suppressed it. Now we have a Dallas cop who was working for the CIA who did it. Those are not exactly consistent positions, but there is one common denominator, the CIA. Mm-hmm. Surprise, surprise.
Let's take a little quick break. We'll be right back. JFK Show number 174.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade.
That's what we were told. Most Americans never believed Lee Oswald was the lone gunman, for excellent reasons. In fact, there were at least 6 shooters who fired from 8 to 10 shots or more who are identified here. We have, finally, the solution to the greatest murder mystery in history, laid out for the world to see, proof after proof after proof. Photos were faked, the body was changed, x-rays were altered, the home movies were fixed. 15 experts contribute to a 529-page book with 1,037 photos and diagrams in black and white and color.
Hi, this is Gary King. If you'd like JFK, who, how, and why, and would like to support the new JFK show, then go to patriotradiobooks.com. That's patriotradiobooks.com.
All right, welcome back. JFK 174. We're going to go on. Should we go ahead and read this one?
Sure. Sure.
Go ahead.
John F. Kennedy was assassinated by a CIA operative posing as a Dallas cop, with a new issue of the National Enquirer revealing his shocking confession.
I did a collage, with Roscoe's many different faces, and I was astounded at how this guy changed.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
He was a master of disguise.
Yes. He was a chameleon, Jim. This is, really
fascinating.
Really,
The National Enquirer's bombshell investigation into JFK's mysterious assassination has unearthed lost documents that lead to the bizarre death of a man who confessed to pulling the trigger. Now his widow and former pastor has come forward with his startling claims.
Yes. And his pastor, the Reverend Jack Shaw, which we have mentioned here a couple of times on the show, about him knowing about the role of Jaggers Charles Stovall, in this whole assassination thing, where it was used as a base of operations, that day. And obviously, Jaggers Charles Stovall is where Lee Oswald, that was his first job, after he came back from Russia. And who was his co-worker at Jaggers Charles Stovall? Roscoe White. And they were both involved, in imaging, and photographic processing there, so, this whole thing, comes full circle on Roscoe White. And I hope we can go over to my blog in a couple of minutes, and look at some of the stuff that I posted there.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that after this, Larry. It's perfect.
Yeah, on Roscoe White.
The new issue of the National Enquirer has the inside story on how the CIA brought in the shooter to gun down President Kennedy for being a national security threat, and even reveals the killer's connection to Lee Harvey Oswald. Discover the hidden history of the JFK assassination exclusively in the new issue of the National Enquirer, now on the newsstands.
Get your copy now.
Let's flip to Larry's good stuff he's got additional good stuff.
Yeah, Roscoe.
Larry, should I put it on pause while you pull it up?
Yeah, Gary will put it up. Gary, in my blog.
Yeah, go ahead and do it on yours, on screen share.
Okay.
All right, Larry, talk to us about the Roscoe White overlays on your blog.
Well, this is, from the new overlays, the new information. Some of this was supposed to be shown at the trial, in Houston last month. And just to recapitulate this whole deal, I did this blog entry that describes, this whole deal here with the Roscoe White overlays, and introduces the notion of, the significance, as I've said, before, a lot of things need to be reevaluated and rethunk, if there's such a word, on this Roscoe White involvement in the JFK assassination and Oswald. I think it's new information that needs to be factored into what we know about the assassination. So you want to go ahead and read it. It's not just
This past 11/16/17 and 11/17/17 two-day mock trial for Lee Harvey Oswald was celebrated on the campus of the University of Houston. As noted at this website, I was supposed to have testified as an imaging expert for the defense. My two areas of expertise would have been the backyard photos and the man in the doorway of the Alton 6. For reasons beyond my control, I was excluded 6 days before the trial. The result was a hung jury with a vote of 5-6 against Lee Oswald.
With one juror.
With one juror failing to show for deliberations. I'm not going to speculate as to which turn the trial would have taken had my work been presented. However, it's important to publish the work, which took me 6 weeks to complete, notwithstanding the Category 2, 5, the two Category 5 hurricanes which laid waste to Puerto Rico in September of my residence at the time. We've already analyzed the backyard photos in a previous post. C-133C was found among Roscoe White's possessions in 1976, at which time it was turned over to the HSCA by the White family. It was later returned to the White family. The fact that CE-133C was found among the possessions of Roscoe White raises all kinds of questions about his possible involvement in the production of these composites. The very first observation happens to be that both Roscoe at the beach and backyard man are standing with their weight on the right hip.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody can see that, right?
Yep.
As an aside, before we continue, what we would have covered in our testimony, an intriguing paper found at the Harold Weisberg JFK repository, which does not cite its author or its source, posits the following information about Roscoe. 1. Roscoe White grew up in the Red River Valley and married Ricky's mother, Geneva, before joining the Marines. He was a crack shot with a rifle and pistol, an accomplished photographer with a penchant for altering or obliterating the faces of his subjects, and probably had access to micro-dot technology. Rock also had the uncanny ability to change his appearance so drastically that even family members had trouble recognizing him in photographs. Just as you were saying, Larry, that's really extraordinary.
I know. This is so incredible, Jim. You know that, and the other points that come out, you know, in this paper, you know, blew me away. That's why I had to add these, you know, here.
No, this is great. Number 2, Roscoe and Lee Oswald trained in the Marines together, knew each other for years. They also worked together at Jaggers Child's Stovall, which the Reverend Jack Shawtet asserted was involved as a base of operations on 22 November 1963, as detailed in Chapter 3 of this book. He's also known to have had an affair with a woman named Hazel, who worked at Jaggers Child's Stovall, a Dallas company that worked on top secret defense contracts, and where Lee Harvey Oswald was hired upon his return from the Soviet Union. A confidential source has stated that Roscoe was a contract operative during this period and knew then there was a plan to eliminate President Kennedy, who was seen as a threat to national security. This source also confirmed that Lee's employment at Jaggers Child's Stovall and Roscoe's involvement with Hazel gave both men access to the company's microdot technology, which may explain the FBI's persistent interest in Roscoe's personal effects and agents' remarks about microdots overheard during their searches of Geneva's house in Paris. 3.
Yeah, I want to talk about.
Go ahead.
We talk about microdots, you know, because it was stated, you know, in Lee's personal address book, you know, under Jaggers Child's Stovall, it said microdots, you know, and you know, a couple of books have been written about, you know, what that, you know, what the meaning of that, you know, and obviously, you know, it opens up a whole new area, you know, where intelligence, operative intelligence procedures come into play, you know, which, you know, unfortunately, the only way that you can go that way is by involving, you know, the CIA and the KGB, you know, and those type of agencies. So
yeah, that's just amazing that they both worked at the same place.
Yeah, Philip Melanson wrote a book on that, and he devotes an entire chapter to this thing about Jaggers Child's Stovall, and I highly recommend, you know,
Spy Saga.
Yeah, Spy Saga.
Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about Jaggers?
Well, you know, they had all the equipment. You know, if you look at the testimony of I believe one of the top people at Jaggers Child's Stovall, come on, you know, he talks about I forget his name right now. I can look it up for you guys about all the intricate equipment and all the sophisticated equipment that was present at Jaggers Child's Stovall, you know, where they could manipulate images, much in the way that the Altgen 6 was manipulated, and who knows what other images. And what was mentioned in the previous point about Jack Shaw, the Reverend Jack Shaw obtained a deathbed confession from Roscoe White when Roscoe White was involved in an accident, I believe in 1971 or something like that, where he was actually burned over 90% of his body, where they put some kind of flammable material, near an acetylene torch or something like that, bench where he was working, and it's another one of those convenient deaths, permeates the JFK assassination. But some of the stuff here on Roscoe is just astounding. If you want to go on to point number 3, Jim, here.
Yes. 3, Roscoe was trained in photography, having been hired in that capacity by the Dallas Police Department on October 7, 1963, only weeks before the assassination. Roscoe took pride in his photographic skills and was in the habit of altering faces of people in photographs. His relatives thought it curious that he went to the trouble of erasing the faces of all the people in his pictures. They wondered where he had learned to do that, but naturally never offered any explanation. After 8 months, Roscoe was finally classified in mechanics and remained in the Max motor pool and continued sending home doctored photographs he'd taken and developed himself. This even suggests to me he might have actually developed the backyard photographs.
I know, exactly. That's exactly where this is going.
I mean, that he would have been the one who created them by, pasting Lee's face in.
If he had the know-how and he was an expert, why not? And don't forget that he had 2 of the most advanced labs, in the city, the DPD, okay, and Jaggers-Chow Stonewall. So it would not have been lacking. It wouldn't have been lacking.
No stretch.
Yeah, I know.
4, Roscoe continued to take advantage of his position with the police department to engineer or sabotage the crime scene investigations, and may have supplied doctors' photos of Oswald, just as we are suggesting. Right. 5, Roscoe participated in the search at the Payne residence due to his being assigned to crime scene search. Roscoe took part in searches of Oswald's room in Oak Cliff and the house in Irving where Marina stayed with the children. It was this involvement that enabled Roscoe to take the photographs that he kept in the blue suitcase. Naturally, it also provided him with excellent opportunity to remove, plant, or alter evidence. Excellent point.
I never knew about him being at the Oak Cliff house, where, remember we went there in 2014, on Beckley, and did that.
Right. Photographs.
He gets around like Hugh Ainsworth, doesn't he?
Yeah. No, but this thing about him being both at every crime scene, yeah, I know. Thank you, Gary. Thank you for bringing that up, because he must have been shadowing Ainsworth, being in all the exactly. Now I got it. But yeah, him, and it would have given him, every opportunity to, to plant the photographs, and that kind of thing. Especially if he was involved, in their manufacturing.
I did not know he was at the Payne's residence. I did not know he was in Oak Cliff.
I didn't know that.
But get this next point. 6. Roscoe and J.D. Tippett were neighbors and lived across the street from each other. Although Tippett and Roscoe had been neighbors and friends, and their families had been close, Roscoe did not attend the fallen officer's funeral. Sounds to me like he was involved in setting up and shooting Tippett.
Boy.
That's why, some of this stuff is really heavy. I had to bring it out because, it's...
this is very important, Larry.
Yeah.
7, November 24th, 1963, knows that's 2 days after the assassination, was Ricky's 3rd birthday, and the family gathered together in their home waiting for Roscoe to come home for his party. Like Americans everywhere, they watched Jack Ruby shoot Oswald in the basement of the police courts building among a throng of reporters, and they were stunned. Moments later, Roscoe stormed into the house, screaming for them to hurry and get into the car. In a matter of moments, the White family were on the road, racing north toward Paris. Roscoe left his wife and kids with family there and disappeared for several days. Ricky had his birthday party the next day without his dad.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Amazing.
8. Evidence suggests that Rock may have spent the missing days in a safe house in Central Texas, a place seen after by a colleague. He finally returned to Paris for his family, and they spent what Ricky remembers as a normal Christmas there. 9. When Oswald was murdered, Roscoe suspected that the conspirators had decided to eliminate everyone who could implicate them, and he went to the ground. After staying low at the safe house for several days, he received assurances and reappeared. But he took steps to ensure that Geneva was not seen as a threat by having her submit to shock therapy. Holy moly!
Well, we know
Holy moly, Larry!
Yeah. Yeah.
So Geneva's his wife?
Yeah.
Yeah, she worked for Jack Ruby. There's photographs of her and Jack Ruby, you know, where she was
actually a stripper.
Yeah.
Roscoe's wife was a stripper?
Yeah, of course. And he had her lobotomized or something like that, you know.
Man, nobody gets around like Roscoe.
I know. That's why, this is, this is so bizarre now, Jim, because this introduces everything that we just discussed here, these 9 points, which need to be re-examined.
Yeah.
In light of the overlays,
Roscoe was obviously a key player. He was a member of the Dallas police. He was CIA. He was a photographic expert. He stood in for Lee. He made the backyard photographs. He murdered a lot of witnesses. He was in the position to plant evidence at the Payne's home and elsewhere in Lee's own rooming house. What a key player in the whole event.
Exactly. And he went better than a Dallas Police Department. And let's not forget that he was only recruited into the Dallas Police Department in early October. Okay? So, this whole thing now starts to, evolve, in a whole different manner, Jim. And we're going to have to, like I said, reevaluate this whole thing with Roscoe White, in light of the overlays.
I agree completely. Yeah. It is unlikely that Roscoe was murdered because he threatened to disclose the Kennedy conspiracy. What is likely, and perhaps even more unsettling, is that after 1963, he continued in his role as a contract assassin, and a number of murders he committed may never be known. Over 50, I believe. He was killed simply because he wanted out. This is supported by John Doe, who told Ricky that nobody leaves the company alive, or words to that effect. Roscoe White's code name was Mandarin. I have heard that name before, Larry.
Yeah, because it was in the cables that Ricky White surrendered to the FBI, which just disappeared in the late 80s. They found the blue suitcase, and they found another chest, where Roscoe had these very incriminating cables, and they disappeared when Ricky Don White, at the FBI, obviously, this is another one of those, and that's when they disappeared. But like I said, as we start to apply technology, into this whole thing about the backyard photos, it's just undeniable. We have to, rethink this whole thing and Roscoe White's involvement here, Jim.
Yeah, I guess what we have here is a prime suspect.
The overlays. This is one of the images that were supposed to be shown a study of the chins. Roll down, Gary.
Yeah, I got it.
I mean, obviously, the chin in the photographs is not the chin of Lee Oswald, but the chin of Roscoe White. The next collage shows the results of overlaying Beach Roscoe onto CE-133C. The reason, of course, is because they matched in perspective. Well,
yeah. And here, the next collage is sort of what I was talking about, the very many different faces of Roscoe White. Now, the one at the top right, I wanted to mention, let's not forget that Roscoe was with the DPD for 2 years, a little over 2 years, and he finally got out in 1965. So as he aged, the photo on the right, and the other photos, sort of like make him look like a chameleon, So, but look at the date here of the one on the top right, 11/3/63. He looks like a totally different person.
11/5/63.
And
11/5/63.
Yeah, top right. And the other photographs of him, as a younger man, and sometimes he's smiling, sometimes he's not. And as you look down, especially down at the bottom right, when he was in the police academy. Okay, see those photographs are 1963, and look at the difference, between one and the other. The bottom right and the top right. Okay, and so this whole thing about Roscoe takes on a whole new added dimension, when you look at, all the many faces of him. Remember when Jack White did that study on the many faces
of Lee Oswald?
That's right. Well, he should have also done one on Roscoe White,
right.
So, yeah, so you go ahead here.
Roscoe was a chameleon. Indeed, however, he always exhibited the same square chin as seen above. This collage would probably have clinched the deal. The neck, trapezoid, shoulders, torso all line up perfectly with Roscoe White's physique. Yeah.
This one, as we overlaid these images, don't forget, as I mentioned before, the perspective, was extremely important in us, being able to overlay the gallery onto the probe image. So, and the first time I did this, I couldn't believe it. At first, I said, wow, this fits perfectly, like a glove, and then as I worked it a little bit more, I realized that there was just no doubt that this is one and the same person,
That's right. That's right. Roscoe's actually a bit huskier than Lee, to tell the truth.
Oh, a lot huskier, and the thick neck and the longer neck. And we're going to see, because when I did the overlay of Lee onto Backyard, which nobody had ever bothered, and we're going to see now in a couple of seconds here, the difference is night and day, because, you have this bull neck, Lee was so frail at 131, at the time of the assassination, Roscoe has this long neck, thick neck, traps, and everything, and everything just fits, perfectly. I don't see how anybody, can deny here that we're talking about, Roscoe being very much involved.
And if you were curious as to how Lee Oswald would fare in this test, notice, how significantly smaller is Lee here. This is very good, Larry, that you did this. Very, very good.
Okay, see, when we're able to align the chin and the mouth and the nose and scale those, to the
Larry,
scale.
These would have been sensational at the mock trial. Sensational.
Yeah, of course.
Larry, that's why they cut you out.
That would have been a no-brainer.
That's why they cut you out.
Yeah, nobody.
If you had not sent your testimony in advance, you probably would have testified.
Yeah. So, and then here's a little animation here, so our audience, can appreciate. So, and as we look at this, and as the opacity, and don't forget, and this is a very important issue that we're going to talk about tomorrow when we do that trial with the kids. As the opacity increases, okay, you start to see the difference between the gallery and the probe image on the overlay.
This is absolutely sensational stuff, Larry.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. And I think this is irrefutable evidence, that Lee was framed, that the backyard photos, are composition and artificial composition, and that Roscoe White was involved in this thing. And let's look at the Roscoe overlay.
Clearly not the same man. Case closed below.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I can't read it when I can't see it.
Okay.
Below the correct individual poses backyard man, Roscoe White. You did a great job with this, Larry. Completely brilliant.
Thank you. It's just a matter of somebody, taking the time, to, do the overlays and work with the layers and Photoshop and whatever other program you want to use. And what I want to do, Jim, and I've spoken to you many times, is to just put this out in the public domain and let other people, verify or refute. If you think that, that we're wrong,
Larry, this is all replicable. This is all objective and scientific. It's all empirical. I love it. And the fact is, it clearly condemns those who excluded you from testifying, because you were not only providing evidence right on the mark, but you were advancing understanding of the assassination of JFK. They couldn't allow it. They had to exclude you.
But it's inevitable. The technology is catching up to the perpetrators, and it's just inevitable, Jim, as far as I'm concerned. And what we want to do is we want to plant this seed. We want to plant this seed in the young minds and let them take it forward. And develop this further. Tomorrow, that's why I'm so anxious. To address our audience tomorrow, because I know we're going to be influencing a lot of in a positive manner, a lot of young minds, to go ahead and take, especially the millennials, and take this further. We've taken it to a certain level, and let them go beyond that, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah. So tell us about what you're going to be doing again. It's high school students going to have Dr. Fester and you.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're conducting a mock trial, and they've got two sides. They've got two students on each side, and they're going to be focusing on whether or not it was Lee in the doorway and the role, whether Lee shot J.D. Tippit. And they're asking me and Larry to provide, to serve as judges into who presented the stronger case, and then to add our own commentary on how we would have presented the information. And I have a substantial set of slides, maybe 50, for that purpose. And then Larry wants to talk about Blender so they can do research of their own.
Not just Blender, but also the overlays, how the overlays are done.
Right.
I think it's also extremely important because, like I said, this seed needs to be planted and let it grow and develop and see, obviously where it takes, a lot of these kids, are very savvy.
So what's interesting, Gary, is this is going to be a better mock trial than the one that did not occur in Houston, which was a farce.
Yeah, we got to get some. How old are they? 15 years old, 16?
Yeah.
Yeah, juniors and seniors.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt they're going to do a better job than
this is going to be disseminated not only in the U.S. but in Europe and Russia and.
Right. That's right. It's going to have a worldwide audience. This is terrific.
Well, let's cover it as much as we possibly can. I'd like to cover that.
Well, we'll have a chance, Gary. We'll have a chance to put it up as a show.
Right. Well, we just got a couple of minutes left. Y'all have anything else, fellas?
Oh, I think this has been sensational. I think that Larry's work here is just mind-blowing, and that the role of Roscoe White was obviously enormous just beneath the surface. He was in the position to plant evidence, to remove evidence, to alter photograph, to create evidence, to frame Oswald, to murder witnesses. What a stunning, pivotal player turns out to be Roscoe White.
Absolutely. I couldn't have put it better, Jim. Thank you, because that's exactly what it boils down to, and it needs to be reexamined, this whole thing. And I've said it before, Ricky Don, you were right. And, we're gonna get you set, in history, as we revealed, the true story of Roscoe White. And at the time of late 1980s, early 1990s, he was, scoffed at, he was ridiculed, and obviously, like I said, what happens is because you are very close to the truth.
Larry, why don't you send me this so I can put it up as a blog?
Sure. Okay.
Okay, good.
All right. Well, look, God bless Jack White and his work, and Larry Rivera reconfirming it. It's been a great show, fellas. It's been JFK Show number 174. We'll see you next week.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade.
That's what we were told. Most Americans never believed Lee Oswald was the lone gunman, for excellent reasons. In fact, there were at least 6 shooters who fired from 8 to 10 shots or more who are identified here. We have, finally, the solution to the greatest murder mystery in history, laid out for the world to see, proof after proof after proof. Photos were faked, the body was changed, x-rays were altered, the home movies were fixed. 15 experts contribute to a 529-page book with 1,037 photos and diagrams in black and white and color.
Hi, this is Gary King. If you'd like JFK, who, how, and why, and would like to support the new JFK show, then go to patriotradiobooks.com. That's patriotradiobooks.com.